Hey guys, welcome back to another Dinar news video. Um, through this week, Parliament has told you, or Iraq has told you, that the current caretaker government is not able to pass and approve any laws or the 2020 budget. That's a lie because they just passed and amended two laws today. So that's a complete lie. The way that the government stands right now, based on what they did today, Parliament is capable and has permissions to approve the 2020 budget. So what you saw through the week where they said the current caretaker government cannot pass and approve any laws is all lies, guys. That was done by design to mislead and confuse you because they did pass and amend two laws today. All right, so let's get into the financial management law. What is it? Does it have anything to do with the rate change? What's significant about it? Let's get into all that. First off, guys, the from what I could find on the financial management law, it's actually been outstanding since roughly 2004. Okay, let's get into this for a second. I'll read the whole thing to you. It says, Mohammed Baldawi confirmed on Saturday that a vote to amend the financial management law would address the problem of the delay in approving the budget for next year. Al Baldawi said in a television interview followed by the news, the amendment came based on the delay in approving the budget due to failure to form a new government. Okay, so they're telling you that the failure to form the delay in forming the new government, but yet they haven't even formed a new government. Okay, and that's why they haven't been able to amend this financial management law. But yet, based on the current status of the current government, they still amended it today. Kind of ironic. So the amendment came based on the delay in approving the budget due to the failure to form a new government. Yeah, again, they have not formed a new government, but yet they still got it amended. So they're not telling you the truth there. And the ability of the Ministry of Finance to disperse the amounts to the governments and ministries. So the vote will address the problem of the delay in approving the budget for next year and opening the doors to exchange. Right there, guys, they just told you opening the doors to exchange, that's trade. So they're telling you trade is now inside the 2020 budget. I recently showed you a few days ago that reforms were in the 2020 budget, guys. Reforms trade, it's all post rate change, all right? So they keep telling you a lot of post rate change items are inside the 2020 budget, which links the 2020 budget to the rate change. Now, I want to stress to you, budgets do not contain rates. So don't ever think that. A budget never contains a rate. They're linked to the rate. The difference is if the 2020 budget was calculated at the old value, it's calculated in trillions of dinar. If the 2020 budget was calculated at the rate change, it would be calculated in billions of dinar. Hence the deletion of the zeros, transitioning from trillions to billions. Okay, let's continue with this news article. He added, according to the law, ongoing projects will continue to be funded. The contractor's dues will be paid according to the doors of the 2020 budget. Notice how they said the contractor's dues. What do they mean by contractors? That would be reconstruction, guys. So right there, they're telling you that reconstruction is also within the 2020 budget. Be paid according to the doors of the 2020 budget, and funds will be rotated between ministries and governments to complete the completion of some projects. He pointed out that some governments did not spend 25% of their allocations, and therefore it was necessary to vote on amending the financial management law. All right. So let's get into. I actually found a very long, detailed explanation of the financial management and public debt law as to what's in it. So this is both the financial management and public debt law, guys. There's a lot of information in this, so just bear with me. It's really long. All right. Pursuant to my authority as the administrator of the Coalition Provincial Authority CPA and under the laws of the usage of war and consistent with relevant UN Security Council resolutions, including resolutions 1483. Having worked closely with the Governing Council to ensure the economic change occurs in a manner acceptable to the people of Iraq, acknowledging the Governing Council's desire to bring about significant change to the Iraqi economic system, determined to improve the conditions of life and opportunities for all Iraqis to fight unemployment with its associated deleterious effect on public security through stable financial markets. Recognizing that Iraq needs laws concerning the issuance and payment of public debt to assist the financial government to promote confidence in the country's economic system. Further recognizing the CPA's obligation to provide for the effective administration of Iraq, recalling the UN Security Council 1483 from 2003 called upon the CPA to promote economic reconstruction and the conditions for sustainable development, acting in a manner consistent with the report of the Secretary General to the Security Council of July 17, 2003 concerning the need for the development in Iraq, need to enact institutional and legal reforms to give it effect. I hereby promulgate the following. Section 1, purpose. This order promulgates the financial management law. So actually, guys, I was wrong. As you guys see, this looks like it was actually drafted back in 2003, not 4. This order promulgates the financial management law, which establishes a comprehensive framework for the conduct of fiscal and budgetary policy in the line with international best practices by setting a structured process. Did you guys see that right there? In line with the international best practices. So they're telling you right here that the financial management law it has to work with international best practices, guys. That tells you right here that the financial management law has actually been waiting to be implemented until after the rate change. In other words, guys, this cannot be implemented until after the rate change. When I say this, I mean the financial management law, due to the fact that it has to adhere to international best practices. And right now, Iraq's currency is not even internationally recognized until the rate changes. So as you guys see, this is more confirmation that the 2020 budget will apply with the practices or regulations within the financial management law, making it adhere to international best practices, meaning it's waited on the rate change clear since 2003. The formulation of the federal budget and a number of reporting requirements aimed at increasing the accountability and transparency of the budgeting process. Number 2, the order promulgates the public debt law, which authorizes the Ministry of Finance to issue and pay debt securities guaranteed by the government and establishes certain related authorities and duties for the purposes of financing government operations, promoting a stable Iraqi economy. Section 2, Financial Management Law. The financial management law attached to this order as Annex A shall have the full force and effect of law. Section 3, Public Debt Law. The public debt law attached to the order as Annex B shall have the full force and effect of the law. Section 4, Provisions. General provisions. Number 1, prior to the transfer of the governance authority to the Iraqi interim government in accordance with Article 2B1 of the Law Administration for the State of Iraq for the transitional period, the powers and responsibilities to assigned to the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers by the Financial Management Law and the Public Debt Law shall be exercised by the Administrator. Number 2, until such time as the Iraqi interim government assumes full governance authority in accordance with Article 2B1 of the law, administration of the State of Iraq transitional period of the Ministry of Finance is prohibited from issuing new debt securities. Issuance of such securities would increase the total level of Iraq's public debt, including obligations to the central bank, beyond the current level of such debt. CPA ORD 2 June 2, 2004. Annex A, Iraqi Financial Management Law of 2004. Section 1, Purpose. The law shall regulate the arrangements governing the preparation, adoption, recording, management, execution, and reporting of the federal budget of Iraq, related issues including public borrowing, guarantees, internal control, accounting, and auditing. The principles of transparency, comprehensiveness. Notice how they're telling you transparency right here, guys. Even that's what I've stressed to you as to why we have to wait on that 2020 budget. The principles of transparency, comprehensiveness, and the unity shall be of fundamental importance in the preparation and execution of the federal budget of Iraq in related issues. The principles of transparency requires the budget information to be classified according to acceptance of international standards and presented in a way that facilitates policy analysis and promotes accountability. Guys, I've stressed that to you clear since at least September of last year, that the 2020 budget has to adhere to transparency, okay, and they're doing that to implement accountability within that 2020 budget to kind of reduce and control the corruption going forward. And here they're even telling you international standards against. So guys, this is clear from 2003, and they're repeating everything I've shared with you since September. Pretty amazing. The principle of comprehensiveness requires that the budget cover all government agencies and institutions undertaking the government operations so that the budget presents a consolidated and complete view of these operations and is voted on as a whole by the body vested with national legislative authority. The principle of unity requires that all government resources be directed to a common pool to be allocated and used for public expenditure according to priorities of the government. Section 2, definitions for the purpose of this law. Number 1, budget appropriation is the legal authorization given to the government to spend public money over the fiscal year for the specified purposes. Authorized person is a person delegated authority and written by the Minister of Finance to manage public money. Number 3, borrowings are funds received in return for a legally binding agreement to repay. Number 4, budget is a financial program based on annual estimates of government cash receipts and payments, transfers, transactions in kind. Budget executor is an authorized person or person delegated authority by the budget executor responsible for the execution of the budget. Number 6, capital expenditures are the use of funds to acquire or upgrade capital assets such as buildings, structures, machinery, equipment, and financial assets. Number 7, cash payments are any monetary transactions resulting in a reduction in the balance of bank account or cash balance. Chart of accounts is a structured list of accounting codes used to classify and record budget, revenue, expenditure transactions. Number 9, commitment is an undertaking to make the expenditure following the conclusion of a binding agreement that will result in a payment. Contingency reserves are funds allocated to the Ministry of Finance in the annual budget law or supplementary budget laws for the purpose of making expenditures that are urgent and unforeseen at the time of passage of an annual budget. I want to stress that to you guys. Okay, a lot of people have had questions about what is the difference between an interim / temporary budget versus the main primary budget. It says right here, contingency reserves. One example of a contingency reserve, guys, is what we just saw with their oil. Every time oil prices go up, they get a surplus of money. It says here, a surplus of money. It says all funds are allocated to the Ministry of Finance within that annual budget law or supplementary budget laws for the purpose of making expenditures that are urgent. So that has to do with the temporary monies and unforeseen at the time of passage of the annual budget law. All right. Council of Ministers is the Council of Ministers described as the law of administration for the state of Iraq for the transitional period. The Transitional Administration Law, or TAL. Current expenditures are expenditures which are not capital expenditures such as salaries, supplies, services, and fuel. Economic classification is a systemic arrangement of the budget, revenue, expenditure items by type for the purposes of financial and statistical reporting and analysis. 14. Financial assets include foreign or domestic cash, deposits, loans, bonds, financial derivatives, accounts receivable, other types of claims, monetary gold, special drawing rights, SDRs, treasury bills, and shares. Let me look at that for a second here. They're talking about SDRs in this. Financial assets, including foreign and domestic cash, deposits, loans, bonds, financial derivatives, accounts receivable, other types of claims. Okay, I was trying to see the fact that they mentioned SDR in this, guys, and this is specific to Iraq. Remember right now, the Iraqi dinar, the SDR is a basket of assortment. It's an assorted basket of currencies for pegging your currency to for value. It's the sample drawing rights. That's interesting because right now, this again, guys, this article is from 2003, and the Iraq's currency, the dinar, is only pegged to the dollar. It's not pegged to an SDR, but yet they're mentioning SDRs right within this article. Interesting. Now they don't give us a lot of detail about it, but the fact that they would even mention SDRs within this article almost suggests that maybe they're going to be unpegging from the dollar and pegging to the SDR basket, like I've been stressing to you, but it's mentioned right here. That's interesting. Fiscal year is the general government's accounting period, which begins January 1st and ends December 31st. Federal budget is the estimate of the total annual receipts and payments approved by the federal government. The federal government of Iraq, interim government, the Iraqi transitional government of the government to be elected pursuant to a permanent constitution as set forth in Article 61 of the Law of Administration for the State of Iraq for Transitional Period, the TAL. The federal government bank account is a bank account for the receipt, payment, or transfer of public money belonging to the federal government. Functional classification system means the array of budget authority expenditures and other budget data according to major purposes served, for example, agriculture, national defense, and transportation. Number 20, general government comprises all government units primarily engaged in non-market operations, including the federal government, regional governments, municipal and local governments. Number 21, government debt securities are debt securities issued by the Ministry of Finance, including debt securities lawfully issued prior to the effective date of the public law promulgated in 2004. Governance budgets are the estimates of the annual receipts and payments of the governments. 23. Government councils are government councils described in Section 2 of CPA Order Number 71. Local government powers, the Local Governmental Powers Law. Number 24. Line items are the payments specifically itemized in the budget law. In number 25, in kind means a transfer or exchange in which payment takes the form of tangible property, intangible property, or services rather than cash. Liability is a present obligation arising from the past events, the settlement of which is expected to result in future payment in cash or in kind. Outlay means a payment to liquidate an obligation other than borrowing. Payment appears arise when a debt is made, but it's by its due for payment date. Petroleum means hydrocarbons, including but not limited to crude oil, natural gas, and natural gas liquids, and defined petroleum products. Number 30. Petroleum Revenue Account means the development fund for Iraq. The DFI account is described by the UN or any successor account to the DFI. Public money means cash money, bank deposits within the custody of the federal government. Public operations are, okay, and there's a lot of them there, guys. Those are public operations. I don't think we need to keep going through every layer of this, but 34 is your spending units, okay? 35 is reallocate. 36 has to do with transfers. 37, Treasury Consolidated Account. 38 is Treasury General Ledger. 39, Treasury Single Account. 40 is government, 40 is government debt, 42 is petroleum revenue, 43 is petroleum export revenue, 44 public available. And as you guys see, these are all of the details. Here, the budget is adopted for the fiscal year. There you guys go. They're telling you right there that budgets are utilized for fiscal years. Okay. Hold on. I'm just kind of going through this real quick, guys. I remember I was telling you at the beginning this sucker was long. So anyway, it's not worth going through this whole thing because it's still very, 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 very long, guys. Anyway, this is the full breakdown of the financial management law. Now, as you guys can see, going through this, we've showed you a lot of stuff that has everything to do with the budget adhering to international standards. The only way, and they mentioned transparency and accountability and international standards. So guys, they're basically telling you right now that the fact that they're passing or finalizing, not passing, that's why they amended to finalize the financial management law right now. What they're telling you in that is so that the 2020 budget is most likely going to be is going to be applied to international currency, so it has to adhere to international standards. So okay, what they're basically telling you guys is that Iraq's going international with this 2020 budget. That's what they're telling us by bringing forth the financial management law right before the 2020 budget. Okay, Iraq's telling you through all of this, guys, that they're going international. I hope you guys see that. You guys have a great day, and God bless. On to the next video.